So I have many different involvements when it comes to digital signage in general, and it's really my bread and butter, and we're a content company, so there's many different things we do. We produce content for movies, for documentaries, but like I said, my bread and butter has always been digital signage. And this industry has, in the last, I'd say 15 years, grown tremendously. And I've been around for 21, back when it was place-based media. So I really wanted to get involved, especially when the Digital Signage Federation popped up, and I became one of the founding members, became Secretary Treasurer, now I'm Vice Chair, and next year I'll be Chair. But the original reason why I joined the Digital Signage Federation was not altruistic at all. It was mainly I wanted a network, and I wanted to be able to meet potential customers, very similar to why I come to the Digital Signage Expo. I come to the Digital Signage Expo so I can meet potential clients. Well, once I got involved with Digital Signage Federation, then I realized this industry needs help. We need to nurture this industry. We need to help it grow, because the more it grows and the more people understand how to do digital signage implementations, the more successful we'll all become. And that's really been my goal is, what can I do for the industry besides just creating, more business for myself and make it a more altruistic, doing it for better reasons than just to get customers. I think what we're finding, and through the years of how clients are becoming more educated and what they're looking, for, and what they're looking for at the Digital Signage Expo, has definitely, they're definitely more educated. However, you still have a lot of people coming into this industry that are still just slapping up screens, and they're not completely educated on what the process should be, what their objectives are, and we're going to struggle with that. With that being said, you are now seeing in the last 5 years, Fortune 500 companies are now implementing digital signage. So that's moving the needle big time. They're coming in, they're not just going to slap up, I should say, they're not going to just, they all are just slapping up screens, but they're learning that they shouldn't be doing that. And I think that's because a lot of them have come to the Digital Signage Expo, they've learned from their mistakes, and they're correcting those mistakes. And the ones that are starting anew are going, okay, look, we're not just going to do that. We want to create a customer experience, and we're going to do that the right way. And it's nice to have those conversations now, where before it was, complete oblivion, and I don't know what I'm doing. Now you at least have an educated consumer. Our clients are coming to us and they have an idea. They still need to be led down that path, but they definitely have an idea, and they have definite ideas of how they want it to look, how they want it to interact with their business intelligence. They have brands, they want to stay true to those brands. So let's not just slap up a screen and put whatever content on it. Let's stay true to our brand and do what we are trying to do here. So, technology is an interesting thing to me. I never lead with technology. When I talk to a client, I always lead with objective, and being a content company, then it's to content. And then let's figure out the technology that will accomplish what you want it to do. And in the last, I'd say, few implementations we've done, we've had a little bit of a problem with that shiny, that looks really cool, and let's try to implement it. I really think where technology is going to take off, and where this industry will take off, is when the technology becomes easy for the end user, right? Meaning, you have a big box retailer, and the IT understand how this is going to be implemented, and you have the marketing departments going, great, we're going to push this out to our customers, but you still have a pretty unsophisticated consumer walking through that door. And yes, we're all trying to get to the millennials, and we're all trying to get that younger consumer who's on their iPhone. But for the most part, and I'm the main demographic for most retailers. They're going, you're a core demographic. We want the one who is making the purchase decisions, are usually a mom. I mean, a female between this age to that age. I'm very young. No, I'm joking. So, I'm sitting here going, I'm the one doing this. Well, I've got 2 kids in tow. Am I really pulling out my iPhone, right? So there's this balance of going, how do we reach our core customer, who's our core customer right now, and then also get those millennials? And I feel like just keep it simple, stupid, right? And when the technology starts backing that up, and we don't get too crazy on pushing this or pushing that, or we could do it without having to have, a lot of these big box retailers have a hard time having Wi-Fi pipe through everywhere, because it's just, or if there is Wi-Fi, now I know I got to pull out my phone and I got to connect to the Wi-Fi. So I got to go to my browser. There's so many steps involved to have these really intricate technology engagements. So I think once all that kind of becomes a little bit simpler for the end customer, then these big box retailers, these Fortune 500 companies, banks, grocery, this will become the wave of the future. So, one of the big things about having people come to the Digital Signage Expo is they can really learn how to understand content management. So not only do you need to understand content, there's also content management and how frequently you're going to be playing the content. Are you day parting? And digital signage gives this wonderful opportunity to do many different things with your content. So you got your content, now how do you manage it? And you'll find that most marketing departments will understand, okay, we know how to reach, or they'll have business intelligence, but it still needs to be scheduled in a CMS. You need to understand how to use that CMS. And coming to the Digital Signage Expo, you could actually touch, feel, walk around the show and really try out some of these CMSs and see how you need to manage your content. And there's tons of great CMSs here. It's just figuring out the one that has the bells and whistles you want and be able to manage it the way you need it to manage, or even interact with your business intelligence, whatever kind of software you already have built into your back end. So you could do that by coming here and figuring out what will work best for you. You'll see many different digital signage implementations going up, and then they have that oh crap moment, right? We're missing this piece, or this isn't quite working. We have this huge capital expenditure. Don't panic. Most of these people have been down this road. You'll see it over and over again. So what do you need to do? You need to evaluate, you need to test, and you need to readjust. And it's not a big deal, but you have to do it. And I think, the real issue from a content perspective is we have key elements, right? You need to know the venue. You need to know, what works in that particular venue. So healthcare is going to be very different than a casino. You need to know how long people are standing in front of the sign. So if they're standing in front of the sign a long time, you need to have a lot more content. How frequently are people coming back to this environment? All these factors go into figuring out what kind of content you should be playing. And it's one of those things where people go, we'll slap this up, we'll figure it out later, but you could also partner with many different companies out there that could walk you through this process. And don't fret, right? If you've already been down that path, come to the Digital Signage Expo. There's plenty of people here who will hold your hand and walk you down that road and help you to figure out how to get back on track and make it successful. It's funny. I think as an industry, we're still a little disjointed, and not everybody feels the same way about digital signage, and there's only one thing I could say about that. I learned from my experiences. I learned from talking to people who have done implementations. We've done implementations in many different verticals, and you learn from those experiences. So the longer you do it, you learn. Now, every case is not the same, and some people will say, well, content isn't king, context is, and you should have a CMS that you just put assets in and it creates new content. There is, I guess the analogy I could say is this. Some people like the Jersey Shore, right? The reality show. Some people wouldn't watch that if it didn't matter. Some people like CSI, and it's just like that. When you do an implementation, what works for one person might not work for another, and it's not going to be one size fits all. People come to me and they say, well, you do custom content, what about feeds? Well, Screen Feed is a great company. They do great stuff. Screen Feeds, doing those types of things works for certain implementations. And what we do works for other implementations. Having some of these CMSs that are really robust work for some implementations and don't for another. So it's about understanding, again, going back to the beginning, what are you trying to accomplish? And then let's fit the technology and the software into that. The problem with that is when you walk into one of these hardware or software vendors, they want to sell you their particular hardware or software. I get it. So how many of us are going to go, you know what? Just not the right fit for us. Whatever you guys are going to be doing is not the right fit. And I think for us to really grow as a community and grow in digital signage and become a better industry, we need to do that more. We come to the Digital Signage Expo because this is where we come to meet potential clients, and we like to show what we do, and that's content and content creation. I'm also a member of the Digital Signage Federation, and it's a wonderful organization to help grow digital signage. I would say that it's a fabulous resource for many people. Please join if you have the opportunity.